Have some young adults here at City Hall today from Urban Prep as well as Wichita's Learning Lab here joining us and learning a little bit more about civic engagement and city government. So I'm really grateful that they're here. Thank you again for joining us for the weekly mayor's briefing. We do have a very packed agenda for this morning, but first I would like to send out my thoughts and prayers to the folks on the East Coast as they're being impacted by tropical storms. So I know that our local journalists are covering those stories on the national scale. So again, we are thinking about them. And we do hope for the safety of all those affected by the storms and hopefully quick reaction to the devastation and rebuilding of those communities. At this time, I would like to welcome up Nathan Eberlein with the League of Kansas Municipalities. Nathan and the League of Kansas Municipalities are here in Wichita this week hosting government representatives from across the state. And today we learned there are 625 cities in the state of Kansas, and many of them will be at the annual conference here in downtown Wichita. Several of my colleagues, including Councilmember Mike Hoheisel, who's here today, maybe spending some time at the conference this week learning and collaborating with those municipalities. So Nathan, please tell us more.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. As Mayor Wu mentioned, my name is Nathan Eberlein, and I'm Executive Director for the League of Kansas Municipalities. And it's my pleasure to be back in Wichita. It's the city that brought my wife and me down to Kansas. And I'm in the fortunate position that I get to be here as both the guest and the host. As Mayor Wu mentioned, we're here with over 300 city officials from all across the state, and we'll be here as part of the League's annual meeting. We just want to thank both Mayor Wu and the City of Wichita for helping to make the annual conference a possibility. But in addition to being a guest, I get to help be the host. And part of the objective for our annual conference is bringing cities together. And Wichita has this great legacy in being at the center of making all of that possible. Going back to Mayor Charles Davidson back in the early 1900s, he played a role in bringing cities together to help the League form going back all those years ago. If you don't know about the League, part of our purpose is to provide guidance and counsel to our cities. So when cities have legal questions, we help provide answers. Policy questions, all sorts of training, which is part of what we'll end up doing over the next few days with the local officials coming together. So it's a great opportunity to help our cities serve all the citizenry of Kansas. And it's a pleasure to be here and want to once again thank Mayor Wu for your hospitality, and very happy to be here. So thank you.
Thank you again, Nathan. And again, we welcome all the officials from all across the state here in Wichita, Kansas this week. Now, we are taking a brief break from the conference tomorrow morning for an official groundbreaking of the Hub, Wichita's new multimodal center in Delano. We will be on site at 9 a.m. at the corner of South Sycamore Street and West Texas Avenue. The facility will serve the future of Wichita's transportation needs for generations. Now, it is not just a bus depot or a parking garage. It represents years of strategic investment and planning to better respond to the growth of Wichita and the surrounding neighborhoods. The Hub will be a last-mile destination. It's a place to park and then walk, ride a bike or a scooter, and meet up with friends before going to the stadium or other amenities in downtown Wichita. We invite our media partners and anyone else interested to join us at that ribbon-cutting ceremony tomorrow. Now, the groundbreaking will kick off a weekend packed with fun, starting with this Sunday. You should all know about the Prairie Fire Marathon, where a lot of individuals from all across, not just our state, but also outside of our state, come to this marathon. Now, the pre-race stretch kicks off at 6:30 a.m. at 300 South Sycamore, which is the northwest corner of Riverfront Stadium. At 7:30 a.m., The mayor's Friendly 5K is returning after a hiatus since then Mayor Brewer kicked it off. Mayor Wu, myself, will be now kicking off this new Friendly 5K at 7:30 a.m. And I'd love to have the entire community come out and join us on that walk, jog, or run. For more information, head to wichitasports.com. And then at noon, it is the start of Open Streets ICT Douglas. It's a free community building annual event which will be held from noon to 5 p.m. this Sunday, October 13th. A huge stretch of Douglas will be closed off, so we want to be mindful that that will impede some traffic, so we want community members to be aware, as there will be the Prairie Fire Marathon in the morning and in the afternoon, Open Streets ICT. Attendees will enjoy a day of biking, physical activities, music, dancing, and much more. Now again, traffic will be closed off beginning at 10 a.m. for more than 4 miles on Douglas Avenue from College Hill at Bluff Street to Glen Street in the historic Delano District. Now, streets will reopen by 6 p.m. on Sunday evening. Visitors will be able to cruise along Douglas Avenue on bikes, skateboards, or walk and stop at any of the activity hubs located all along Douglas. You can also shop around the businesses in that route and visit food and street vendors while listening to music. It's a day fun, focused around community and getting outside and also moving. And here to tell us more about fun things planned for our community is Jamel Holoparik from Visit Wichita. Jamel?
Don't we live in the best city ever? We always have so many fun things going on, especially this time of year. And this month we do have a lot of things happening. First off, a new exhibit at Exploration Place. It starts tomorrow. It is Toytopia. And this is something fun for people of all ages. They are going to have the world's largest Etch-a-Sketch, a life-size Monopoly car that you can actually go up to and play with, and then vintage arcade games. And we all love Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, all that, right? So you can go in there. You can take the little ones, and you can go and enjoy it yourself. So that's going on all month at Exploration Place. Then we have the 43rd Wichita Asian Festival. This is Saturday from 5 to 9:30 p.m. at Century 2. And this is growing every year, and it gets better and better, and people are loving this. And you can go down there and see and listen to Asian music. They'll have all kinds of Asian foods, performances on stage. So get out there and enjoy that. That is going to be from 5 to 9:30 on Saturday at Century 2. And then we have the Tall Grass Film Festival. And that is one of the things that people nationally know so well. And we are so fortunate to host that here in Wichita. It is October 24th through the 27th. There'll be multiple venues showing these independent films. Thousands of people are expected to be here, which is always fabulous because they stay in our hotels, they eat at our restaurants, shop at our businesses, and that's what we love here in Wichita. About 100 filmmakers will be here. And what's fun about this is they will be able to talk to the audience. So after the film, you get to ask questions to the director. So you can say, so how did you edit that? Why did you pick that shot? What was the lighting behind that? So a lot of fun events going on in Wichita. We live in a fabulous city. Just go to visitwichita.com. Click on the events calendar, and you'll find all the information. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you again, Jamel. And here with a new partnership we created just last month, we really appreciate this. There's much to look forward to and optimistic about, including events and community gatherings. But we also want to talk about mental health. And this week is Mental Illness Awareness Week. And here to tell us more about how you can support your own mental well-being are tips from Eric Litweiler from the Mental Health America of South Central Kansas.
Thank you, Mayor, and we certainly want to add our thoughts as well to the folks going through natural disasters. You know, from a mental health standpoint, obviously those types of situations can be a very tangible trigger for trauma And it's not just the people going through them, it's people watching it too. So I would just, in addition to what I'm going to talk about today, I want to remind people that even watching the news and seeing those kind of traumatic situations on television can also be a trigger for trauma. So be mindful of your own mental health as you're watching that coverage. Speaking of staring at screens, I understand the need to stay connected in modern society. We all do it through our phones, through our tablets, through our televisions. But that need to stay connected through electronics is driving an anxiety epidemic that is not healthy for Americans. Just in Wichita alone, an estimated 90% of our city reports that they check their phones within 10 minutes of waking up in the morning. And 60% of Wichitans actually sleep with their phones. So whether it's checking emails or text messages or social media notifications, the ability to be reachable all the time is creating an expectation to be reachable all the time. And that's really reached a point well beyond what is sustainable. Now, granted, isolation is the #1 enemy of good mental health, and so it stands to reason that connection is good, and personal connection is good. The problem is over the last 15 or 20 years, too many people have come to believe that clicking a heart or a thumbs up icon or texting the person across the room or across the table is connection, and it's not. Just as important as knowing what true connection actually is the understanding of when to put away the text messages and the emails, to just be present with your friends and your family members while choosing not to be available to your boss or to your coworkers or to your clients until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I completely understand that no one wants to miss a business opportunity, but at least silence the notifications on apps that you're not likely to get a true business opportunity through. In other words, a client, yes, they may reach out to you via email or via text, but they're probably not reaching out to you on TikTok or Twitter. So silence the notifications that might tempt you to reach for your phones even when it's not a coworker or a client. And make an effort to keep the phones out of the bedrooms as well. Screens are fine for the office, they're great for movie night in the living room, but the blue light that they emit is a detriment to a good night's sleep, and let's face facts, that's hard enough for most of us to get as it is. And creating the habit of looking at screens when we're trying to sleep makes the bedroom a place that's no longer any more restful than your kitchen or your garage. So keeping screens out of the bedroom, I realize, is hard enough, let alone keeping them out of our lives enough in order to allow us to maintain true interpersonal connections with our fellow human beings. But in the interests of good mental health, I would offer that it's worth making the effort. Thank you.
Thank you again, Eric. Really appreciate that you come out here every week now to give us some mental health tips for community to consider, as we all want to take care of our physical as well as our mental well-being. And one way we promote physical well-being is through our robust Fire Prevention Week program. Our firefighters have been busy all week going to events, meeting with community groups and individuals, and pushing out information to promote the importance of fire safety for residents and family members. I will be joining the fire department tomorrow morning, bright and early, actually dark and early, at 7 a.m. at Coffee and Conversation informal event at Coffee Days at 3236 East Douglas. And the Wichita Fire Department will also have coffee and conversations at various locations throughout the city for Fire Prevention Week, and council members will be in attendance at those as well. You can check out the event calendar at wichita.gov to find a coffee shop and time that works best for you. And we invite everyone who can come out to learn more and connect with our firefighters to discuss fire safety and meet their community firefighters. Attendees will also be able to sign up for a free smoke alarm. And we want everyone to be fire safe and prepared as well. Well, we also want to have our furry friends in the city be safe. And since the pandemic, shelters and rescues all over the country have been facing more and more animals in need, yet fewer resources. In our role to help both Wichita animals and people stay safe, the Wichita Police Department is revitalizing animal control operations. This is to better respond to changing conditions and the dramatic increase in drop-offs and intakes. Here to tell us more is Captain Aaron Moses of the Wichita Police Department.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Captain Aaron Moses, the Executive Officer of the Wichita Police Department, here to go over some animal services restructuring within the Wichita Police Department. First, we wanted to discuss some difficulties that we face at the animal shelter. First, there is a state statute that limits our ability to move sick animals to rescues to limit exposure to other animals within the shelter. We do face a challenge of supply and demand. Current challenges are that we are taking in more animals than we have people available to adopt, or that people are wanting to adopt animals. We are looking at our adoption and recovery fees. We've heard from the public that that is a difficulty related to adopting animals out of the shelter. Additionally, we're looking at infrastructure challenges. We're reviewing a report from Kansas State University, and we are adding and prioritizing the recommendations from that report into the City of Wichita Capital Improvement Plan and budgets for implementation of those recommendations. Additionally, we're looking at enhancing social media engagement. One of the city manager's fellows is currently working to develop a social media presence for the shelter to discuss operations and coordinate with local rescues. This is the current organizational structure of animal services. Obviously, at the top would be the city manager and then the chief of police. And then within the Support Services Division, there is the Administrative Services Bureau, which is overseen by a captain, and then an Animal Services Lieutenant. That lieutenant supervises 2 non-commissioned supervisors, and then we have animal control officers and part-time kennel technicians. Moving forward, the new organizational structure will look like this. So you'll have the city manager and then the chief of police, also the Support Services Division, and then we are creating an Animal Services Bureau. And the lieutenant position at Animal Services now will be reclassified to a captain to oversee that functional bureau. Under the Animal Services Captain or Bureau Commander, we are currently accepting applications for a non-commissioned shelter supervisor and rescue coordinator. We are also currently accepting applications for a non-commissioned administrative assistant. That is to assist with phone calls and emails coming into the shelter to ensure that we can respond to those in a more timely manner. Under the non-commissioned shelter supervisor are the 2 non-commissioned supervisors that exist now over the animal control officers, and then you'll notice a change at the bottom, changing all of our part-time kennel technicians to full-time kennel technicians with benefits. The intent behind the full-time kennel technicians is to allow animal control officers to be available to respond to calls on the street and not manage the kennels at the shelter. Just a summary of these new positions. Again, we're reclassifying the lieutenant position to a captain and creating an Animal Services Bureau. This bureau commander will report directly to the Support Services Division Commander or Deputy Chief and manage the budget and personnel at the animal shelter and within the bureau. Again, we are currently accepting applications for a non-commissioned shelter supervisor and rescue coordinator. We're seeking an expert in the animal services and shelter management field who can develop strong relationships with our rescues in the community. And we are also seeking applications for a non-commissioned administrative staff member, again, to assist with managing incoming calls and correspondence to the shelter. And then, again, to summarize, we're converting all part-time kennel technicians to full-time with benefits. The intent behind this is, again, to allow animal control officers to be available to respond to calls for service in the field in a more timely manner. It's a brief overview of the restructuring occurring at Animal Services. Again, with the creation of a functional Animal Services Bureau, removing that out from under Administrative Services. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you again, Captain Moses. I appreciate the Wichita Police Department as well as the council sends their thank you in taking mindful steps to try to improve animal control, but they only represent one small part of that solution. It's up to each of us to help animals right here in our community, and we urge everyone to get your pets microchipped and spayed or neutered, and secure fences as well as doors so that they do not get loose into the community. And before I bring up Councilmember Hoheisel, I always like to share the good news in our community. And again, wanted to remind folks about all the activities that are going on this weekend. Once again, the 43rd Annual Wichita Asian Festival, Prairie Fire, Marathon, and Open Streets ICT, especially since it is a free event for the entire community, and it's a great opportunity to connect with everyone here in Wichita. So Councilmember Hoheisel from District 3 is here to share some good news.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the invite to come up here and speak today. Never as classy and as eloquent as you are, but I will give it a shot. First, I'd like to extend my thanks to WPD and all the hard work that the administration's done in reconfiguring our animal services. This is always a tricky subject, always a tricky issue because there's so many conflicting goals. Some people are in it, and just like us, we want to save every single animal that we can, but we also have to weigh that with public safety, getting out there, making sure that we corral dangerous dogs, and do what we can to make sure that everybody's following the rules. So it's quite a task. They told me when I first got in here just to stay away from animal politics. I did not listen to them. Now I have some mental health issues to work through, Eric, so I appreciate some of your tips on that one. I also did want to just share a little bit about some of the recent things we have going on down on South Broadway at Lincoln Park, namely the process that we've begun to try and designate Lincoln Park as the state firefighter memorial and bring some funds in there to redo the park and make sure that we give the memorial all the due respect that it needs. Unfortunately, we do have to extend the wall. There's some more names that are going to go on there here the next year, and you know, it's a dangerous job, so there's always going to be a need for that, unfortunately. We're also looking at some upgrades as far as the equipment there, the splash pad, making sure that we make the park more secure and family friendly, and also doing some upgrades to the museum and the memorial itself. So we are just beginning this process. We're working with some of our partners in the state legislature to try and advance this, and community partners as well. So my thanks to the fire department, Chief Snow, the fire union, and our comm staff as well. We're all working on this together, and the people down at the Firefighter Memorial, so please pay attention in the upcoming months, and hopefully this time next year we will have a designation and be well on our way to fundraising for this goal. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Hoheisel. All right, so at this time, we will take questions regarding any of these topics or anything our media partners have questions about.
My first question is about, you were citing a Kansas State report. Was that done in conjunction with the city, or what did that?
Yes.
Was it just something that they?
Yeah, we requested, obviously Kansas State University is a leader in animal care and animal research, so we requested them to come in and evaluate our shelter and provide us recommendations on how we can improve operations. We're at the Wichita Police Department, we're constantly striving to improve our operations. We know that we can always do better in every aspect of our operation, and we're always seeking to do better. And one way we do that is we seek out expert opinions. We are not experts in animal care, but the people at Kansas State University are, and so we sought them out to provide guidance on ways we could improve our operation.
My second question was, you know, you're transitioning over to full-time kennel techs, and you're talking about calls for service. Are the kennel techs going to be in the shelter during those periods where you have high utilization of, you know, people calling in saying, hey, there's a stray, or people dropping off animals?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to clarify. So currently, with the openings of our part-time kennel technician positions, our animal control officers are having to come into the shelter and support that those duties. So our intention by converting those to full-time positions with benefits is hopefully to attract more applicants so that our animal control officers won't have to come into the shelter and maintain the kennel technician duties, which will then allow them more time to be out in the community responding to calls for service. Yes.
Yeah, so regarding, actually, thank you for bringing one up because that's, you were I was going to call. But in regards to animal control being at
Yeah, what we've already put in place is we worked with the law department to work on city ordinance requiring microchipping of animals. Currently, as of October 7th, about just over 7% of the animals in the shelter are microchipped. That causes us a huge challenge when we try to find the owners of those animals and reconnect those animals to their owners. Additionally, we have not returned to pre-COVID levels of animals being returned to their owners. What we have seen is an increase in animals at the shelter post-COVID. So we've seen an increase of animals coming into the shelter. So far this year alone, we've received 6,733 animals to the shelter. And for example, in 2020, for the entire year, we received just over 7,000 animals. So we have not seen a return to pre-COVID levels of animals coming into the shelter. We've actually seen an increase, and we have not seen a return of the number of animals being returned to their owners. We also haven't seen as many people coming in seeking adoption of animals. So that provides us a challenge, right? Because we are a short-term shelter, which means we are required to have a certain number of kennels open for animals and a certain amount of space open for animals to come into the shelter at all times. And when we don't have as many people coming to adopt animals out of the shelter, but we have more animals coming in, it's a simple math equation that we don't have the space in our shelter to accommodate.
So with that, there was talk of a new structure that you guys are going to be building. Can you speak a little bit on that?
We're not building a structure. The restructure of animal services is an organizational restructure, which is what I went over in the presentation. So we're creating an animal services bureau functionally within our organization that does not exist today. Currently, animal services falls under the Administrative Services Bureau. So we will have a fully functional animal services bureau overseen by a captain. What that'll do is we will incorporate animal services into our conversation. Every morning at 9 a.m. we have a command staff meeting with the entire command staff of the police department. Animal services will now be a part of that conversation. Additionally, we have a strategic meeting every week with all of command staff called CompStat. Animal services will also be incorporated into that conversation with this creation of a bureau. Additionally, we're creating that civilian position to coordinate with our local rescues and enhance that relationship we have with local rescues to try to facilitate an increase in adoption rates and an increase in rates of animals being returned to their owners, which will hopefully allow us to have more shelter space. The structural improvements are related to the Kansas State University report that identified ways that we could improve the physical structure of our shelter. And that'll be accomplished through capital improvement program and budget.
And then with that, you mentioned the local partners. Has there been any collaboration with the Humane Society by any chance? Is there any correspondence between the two of you all specifically, just because they have the space? I was just wondering.
Yes, we've been involved with the Humane Society for a long time, and that will continue.
You mentioned looking at fees. What does that look like? Maybe lowering them?
Yes.
And I believe this is something maybe the council voted on.
Yeah, so we're going to be capping adoption and recovery fees at, I believe, $150. So that is something that we've heard from the community as a barrier to people coming to retrieve their animals. In the past, the structure of fees was dictated by how long the animal was in the shelter, how much care the animal needed, and it wasn't always the same for everybody. So what we've done is we've reviewed that, heard the concerns of the community, and said, okay, if this is a barrier to adoption, we will cap those fees for everybody at $150. I'm going to escape before you ask more questions.
I would have to get back with you on that.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you all very much and hope to see you all out this weekend.